5. Alrighty, hello everyone and happy Tuesday evening. The time now is about 7:51 here, and we are tracking new areas of strong to severe thunderstorms. Now these have been, I've been tracking these for a few hours now, but these are just starting to move into the Charlotte metro area. So I think the most important thing to remember is that these are strong storms, even severe thunderstorms. We've had a history there of producing wind gusts up to about 60 miles per hour or so. And some of these clusters that I'm seeing right now approaching the northern Piedmont, northern Mecklenburg County, for example, near Cornelius up toward Kannapolis. Wind gusts for the most part around 40 or so miles an hour. So I haven't seen a ton of confirmed approved 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but let's just kind of take a look at where these storms are now. So as we zoom in here, you can see that we are getting dangerously close here to the areas near Huntersville, Lowellsville here. This is right to the north there of that I-77 loop. And as you kind of track out when these storms are going to arrive, maybe in your backyard, Concord here within the next few minutes, if you haven't already started to see some of that rain and gusty wind. Shelby close to about 8 o'clock, Gastonia around 8:45, Belmont just before 8:30. Charlotte, the metro area, and uptown Charlotte about the same time frame, 8:30. Mint Hill toward Clover, Matthews just after at about 8:45, 9 o'clock, and then eventually shifting further south toward Indian Trail and Monroe by about 9:15. Now these are extremely widespread. I mean, this severe thunderstorm warning expands all the way from western portions and eastern portions there of Cleveland County, all the way toward areas near Concord and Kannapolis there in Cabarrus County. So it's a really, really large area of severe thunderstorm warning. Now, one, of course, the big reasons why I mentioned a second ago is the wind. You can kind of take a look here at some of the wind gusts that I've been picking up here lately, about 35 up to about 45 miles an hour. And these are in some of those very populated areas that we have here locally. So you can see near Cornelius and Huntersville, this is an area I was watching just a second ago that had a lot of significant wind. So let's turn on some of these wind velocities again. Here's 35 miles an hour there near areas near Huntersville Concord Road. You have about 30 miles an hour there as we travel further north across there of portions of Highway 71 up toward Rocky River Road, about 30 miles an hour too. Those are all east there of 77, and then you can see west of I-77 as well. We have those 35 mile per hour winds. Now again, I really haven't seen a ton of support lately for any of those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts that normally constitutes a severe thunderstorm warning, but it kind of depends on where exactly you are, how strong the wind is. Just to the north there of the Queen City, again, about 25, there's a 36-mile-per-hour wind gust. You know, we say this a lot of times that these are pretty typical today's thunderstorms of a normal July day. Now, it's never convenient, right, to have storms when the kids have soccer practice, or maybe you had plans to be outside or eating dinner maybe on the lanai. But, you know, these storms do pack a punch at times. In fact, you can see that as we get closer to areas near Cleveland County, we have more areas of gusty wind up to about 13 miles an hour near Trollville, about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So, I mean, they're definitely gusty. Definitely going to pick up that outdoor furniture if you don't make sure it's locked down. But for the most part, we're not seeing a widespread significant threat. No tornado warnings, which is always a plus, right? Now let's go a little bit further north there, away from the metro, closer to areas near Concord, China Grove. You can see some of those pockets of really, really heavy rain shaded in the red and orange coloring. These have produced 1 to even 2.5 inches of rain within just an hour because they're really, really slow moving. So that's something I want everyone to look out for too, is that threat for localized flooding. Now, oftentimes when we don't have a significant tornado risk, sometimes we don't get as many, messages on Facebook, things of that nature. I know Brad mentions this a lot, but oftentimes we, as the media and our viewers, who send in those pictures, those videos, are oftentimes the ones communicating what's going on to the National Weather Service across our counties, which is we are mostly covered by Greenville, Spartanburg. We have a few counties covered by National Weather Service Raleigh, National Weather Service Columbia, as well up toward NWS Blacksburg. So if you're getting pictures, if you're getting videos, please send them our way, whether it's gusty wind, whether it's heavy rain, you got a rain gauge in your backyard, all that good stuff, because we actually take those and typically will send them to the NWS. I really haven't gotten a lot of confirmation about these winds. A lot of this has been radar indicated upwards of 60 miles per hour. So far, just some severe thunderstorms moving through the area. There was one confirmed wind gust up to about 60 miles an hour down towards Spartanburg County, but nothing so far in our 22 counties locally. Now, one thing I do want to point out about that storm that's moving into Cleveland County is it has had a history of producing really significant hail. So about 1 to even 1.5 inches. This is over towards Shops Ford and Pleasant Grove there in the southern part there of Burke County. And now, of course, it's moving into parts there of Cleveland County. So something to keep an eye on, especially if you're in Bellwood, Ballston, places like that. As we progress through the rest of this evening, I do expect more storms to move through. So where we are is kind of around here. You can kind of see that 8 o'clock time frame. Futurecast picking up on a pretty good idea that storms will be moving into the Charlotte metro. Here's 9 o'clock. And then you can kind of see as we approach 10, 11, a lot of those storms start to fizzle out. Now today's severe thunderstorm risk was low. This was the risk today. So you can see low across the entire region. Pretty typical, right, for what we would see during the summer time frame here in the Charlotte area. But as we get closer to tomorrow, and then eventually on Thursday, you see how that expands and becomes a moderate risk? We have a better opportunity for not just wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour, but some downburst winds in excess of 60 to even 70 miles per hour. This will be a much bigger impact here locally. We also, of course, will see once again heavy rain, frequent lightning, and that isolated flooding potential. I do want to point out that when we talk about these weather aware days, which we will be weather aware tomorrow and into Thursday, and I'll get to that in a second, but these are not typical afternoon showers and thunderstorms. This is not typical heat and humidity. When we want you to stay weather aware, oftentimes it's for an additional impact. So a low and severe weather risk, yes, maybe during the 4th of July, right? But also for a medium to high risk that's further more significant than what a normal day-to-day would be. Because if we talked about being weather aware on every single afternoon, we have a low risk for severe storms, kind of like today, we might be telling you 20 times, right, per month, especially during the summertime. But these are going to be much rarer days. We've only had a few so far this year, and tomorrow is going to be one of those days. So here's my latest thinking. I think these strong storms will start to move in, especially to the Charlotte metro area around about 5 p.m. or so, and last closer to about 10, 11 o'clock. So this will be about a 6-hour window where we could see those gusty winds, 60, even up towards 70 miles an hour, really heavy rain and localized flooding. Now the hail threat will still be there, but it'll be pretty low. One of the reasons why it's there, even though we are so warm this time of year, so of course the upper atmosphere maybe not as cold as it would be during the winter time, is when the storms grow and produce those updrafts, right? We're always talking about wind going in at the surface and coming out aloft, is that when the storms are growing so high, they're encountering even colder air the farther up they go. So the taller the storm, oftentimes it can mean a better risk for not just hail to form, but even more severe hail. So right now I'm thinking about moderate size, maybe a little bit higher, stronger there, maybe a little bit bigger than a quarter, but not too much higher than that. And then the tornado risk for tomorrow is very low. It's not zero. And the reason why is we have a little bit more wind shear in our atmosphere than we've had the past few days, but I really don't think it's a significant threat. So of course, a big reason why we want you to be weather aware the next 2 days, of course, is because of that threat for the severe thunderstorms. But there's a bigger second reason too. We're going to have a lot of heat and humidity. And I know, again, same thing. It gets hot, it's humid during the summertime. You're thinking, Brittany, we get it. But this is a little bit more. So on a normal July day, our high temperature around this time of year is about 90, 91 degrees. So when you factor in a dew point in the upper 60s, lower 70s, it would feel about 95 to 100. But when the dew point gets even higher and we have that really tropical air overhead, and when it gets closer to 74, 75 miles an hour, or 74, 75 degrees, oftentimes the heat index can be even hotter than that. So from tomorrow all the way toward Friday, I'm expecting a heat index at about 104 all the way up toward 107. This will be very similar to that first heat wave that we had. Now back then it lasted about 4 days. This one will only be about 2 for the 105 or higher. Friday will be closer to 104, but it's still going to be pretty toasty out there. Now that is prompting heat advisories across the area. Now they're not widespread yet, but you can see this widespread area of heat advisories from Texas all the way up toward Nebraska, Iowa, and even toward Mississippi and Alabama. Now here locally, so far we only have 2 counties under this heat advisory for tomorrow. That's Anson County and that's Richmond County. But remember just a second ago, we were talking about different National Weather Service offices. They have different criteria. Oftentimes will issue things at different times. These two counties are covered under the Raleigh office. Most of our area, including Mecklenburg County, is covered under the Greensville-Spartanburg office. So I do expect the heat, of course, to get pretty significant, but at least for now, we don't have official heat advisories in place. So before we go back to track some of those severe thunderstorms that we have locally, and I do believe we're getting a few more developing, totally not being rude to you guys. I get National Weather Service alerts to my phone. You know, got to stay on top of the latest technology. But storms and heat the next 2 days, really going to be big factors. We're really borderline criteria on both. We have a very specific criteria here at WCNC Charlotte Weather where we kind of are looking for that more significant impact. Again, not going to issue them for just every day, but I think it's a combination of both that are going to make these next few days a little bit more aggressive because you'll have the heat early, then boom, the storms are going to develop. Now by Friday, we still keep in that chance of rain, and it's still going to be hot and humid, maybe not as hot and humid, and then more rain on Saturday. For the Charlotte FC match, it's going to be pretty dicey here at times. So of course, as we get closer to Saturday, we'll get a better idea, but just go ahead and keep that in mind if you already have tickets there. Maybe have a backup plan or at least have that poncho ready to go, since I've heard from other folks that umbrellas are either not allowed at Bank of America Stadium or only certain sizes. So just remember that, and of course check it before you go. But by Sunday, rain chances kind of taper off at about 30 to 40%, and our temps are going to drop into the lower 80s. We'll be in the mid 80s on Monday and potentially even dry to kick off next week. So we could be in a much better pattern as we wrap up the weekend. But of course, at least for now, we are still in this pattern of strong to severe thunderstorms. So if you're just now joining us, we are tracking strong to severe storms moving into the Charlotte metro area. Now where they are right now, you can see already past Huntersville now. These were moving really slow earlier, but I'll tell you, they have started to race. I've seen upwards of about 28 knots, which is just above 30 miles an hour. So they are definitely picking up speed, which is good in terms of the storms will be over quicker and we'll have less flooding. But of course is not as good, right? If maybe little Johnny's soccer practice is about to start at 8:15. So where the storms are now, you can see just to the north here of Mount Holly. We're seeing lots of widespread rain over Lowellsville, Alexis, Stanley, near Spencer Mountain right now. You can also see over toward Huntersville, lots of heavy rain. But look at Cornelius. I was showing you just about 5-10 minutes ago that we were seeing heavy rain there. It's already out of town. Kannapolis, Concord, seeing a lot of rain right now toward Mount Pleasant, just north of Harrisburg. Let's actually take a look at how our Kannapolis camera looks right now, because we just got that brand new camera there at Atrium Health Ballpark. Ooh, look at those storms. Man, oh man. Earlier I was showing I had a shelf cloud picture that I took here, but whew. Good thing the Cannonballers took off today, right? And speaking of the Cannonballers forecast, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, they are back at home here in Kannapolis. So I do encourage anyone who maybe has plans to that game, still go, right? If you want to go, if you choose not to, of course, that's your personal choice. But I will say just be prepared for, of course, those strong storms moving through, but also please stay hydrated too, because of course, it's going to be our first weather aware situation here. Let's check out a few other cameras across the area so we can see if we can see some of these thunderstorms right now. Oh, look at Dallas, North Carolina's tower cam. It is really raining heavy there right now. I know shocker there because it's over towards Spencer Mountain, but this kind of gives you an idea, right? This is blinding rain. So for those of you who maybe had plans to go to dinner, you're about to head in the car, I'd at least wait until these storms are over because they should move through pretty quickly. This is not going to linger, for 5-10 hours or anything of that nature. So really heavy rain continuing to move through the area. Our Charlotte camera, let's see, on the southern side of Charlotte likely is not seeing any rain because none of that has arrived yet. So I mean, this is kind of what you're dealing with on the southern side of these storms, is these clearer skies here from South Charlotte, right, with some clouds moving in. But of course for the Dallas camera, it is not that same situation. Whew, a lot of heavy rain there. And of course, we want to also remind you with some of those storms, turn around, don't drown. Never a good idea to drive through a flooded roadway here. Let's track out some of these storms, shall we? Let's pop this baby off. Clear that out. Here we are. So the squall line's becoming a little bit more broken. Squall line typically refers to a line of strong to severe thunderstorms. It's becoming a little bit more broken, so it's not as consistent as it was, but it's still moving at about 30 miles an hour. So let's track these out. Moving pretty much south. Here we go. Okay, so we have Lowell pretty much moving through right now. We have Mount Holly at about 8:16, Paw Creek, Clear Creek at about 8:20. We have Belmont just before 8:30. The same for the Charlotte area. Berry Hill 832, Matthews 841, Indian Trail about 845, similar to earlier. Pineville, love to go down there for the Carolina Pavilion Shopping Center. That's going to be closer to about 9 o'clock, so just keep that in mind if maybe you have plans to grab dinner down there. There's a lot of good restaurants that I love to head down there to. Also, what's going on if you're over in maybe parts here of Gaston County and in Cleveland County, you can still see pockets of heavy rain there too. If you look at the movement here, these are also moving pretty quickly, pretty much from the south and southeast. But see how they're becoming so broken up here? You can see heavy rain near Shelby, near Kings Mountain, but there's no kind of significant line. Those will likely become a little bit more broken as they head further south across York County. But I mean, these babies are racing. They were really, really slow up toward the mountains and foothills earlier, but you can kind of see that just some light rain up toward Ashwood, Taga, and Avery County. If you're near I-40 and north, you're pretty much clear from the heavy rain, maybe a few little lingering showers. And, you know, just to show you how heavy this rain is, look at this, a flash flood warning being issued over in Forsyth County. That's up toward Winston-Salem. Now, they definitely have seen the heavier rain kind of on the eastern side of these storms moving through. But I just want everyone to at least be prepared for the potential that some of these storms could provide a minor flash flooding there. So you can see continuing to see rain moving toward Harrisburg, over toward Georgeville, Mount Pleasant, New London, which means Albemarle. Lucky you, you're going to see rain here very, very shortly. Let's time this out. Again, like I said, they're moving pretty quickly, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next 10 minutes or so. Oh, I didn't draw it on big enough. I apologize, everybody. There we go. So you can see moving about 10 miles. Okay, so Albemarle about 8:17. So I think you got a good about 10 minutes or so. Palestine about 8:10. The hills there just before about 8:30. And of course, more areas of rain and storms. Officially, the severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:45. So we have plenty of time left, about 30 to 40 minutes or so. But this is not a tornado warning. This is not a significant, really, really significant threat. It's more of a heads up, right? For those of you who maybe have outdoor plans, you're starting to see some of those darkening clouds to know that these are going to be moving through here very quickly. In fact, as we zoom in here, this is the I-77 loop here. Rain is pretty much almost there. So if you are going to be heading out that way, maybe driving around, you're pretty much about to see the rain. Let's track this out for you. So if you're in an area maybe near Uptown, South End, things of that nature, we got rain coming pretty heavy, and like I mentioned, it is going to pop through a little bit quicker than what we were seeing earlier up toward the mountains, and I really do think that's good. Again, probably not for those of you who are saying, Brittany, this is ruining my dinner plans. I do apologize. So Charlotte probably closer to about 8:30 or so with these for the I-77 inner loop. Oh, good news here. Look at that. The hail tracker is much, much lower. I think what's going to happen, especially as we get closer to sunset, we're kind of already seeing this, is that things just aren't quite as toasty as we were earlier. In fact, earlier we had a high around 95 in Charlotte with a feels like temp at one point about 103. If we were tapping into that same heat and humidity, things would be popping off even stronger. But I think that now that we're kind of rolling through, things have gone down at least a little bit temperature-wise. We're not going to have as much fuel here for some of these storms to become strong. So you can clearly see on our temperature map here where the rain has fallen. 72 rain cool there in Lincolnton, 72 in Salisbury, 74 in Hickory, 73 Statesville, Morganton, Shelby 82, so maybe getting a little bit of rain, but at least not widespread. It's still 89 in Charlotte, but I'll tell you once we get that next update at about 9 o'clock, it surely won't be that hot. So just a reminder once again, just so folks who maybe don't want to talk with me anymore about storms, instead of blaming, I mean, I'm not Brad Panovich, but you know, I try to be as cool as him. Sometimes it never works. But we do have more storms, of course, moving into the Charlotte metro area. You can see toward Mount Holly, Shuffletown, Paw Creek, over toward Harrisburg. We have some rain, heavy rain at that moving through. Belmont, you're pretty much almost there. This will be moving into Charlotte here very, very shortly. I mean, we're pretty much right on the outer edge of these showers and thunderstorms now. You can see Charlotte at about 8:26. Berry Hill, 8:25, Paw Creek, already seeing it, Dixie at about 8:28. And then other than that, just some gusty wind. Let's pop on a few more of these, especially now that they're closer to the metro. We're seeing about 18 miles an hour, 16, I mean, I hate to say it like this because I know that we have seen some of those really strong thunderstorms recently, but this is not one of those threats where I'm popping on the velocity and I'm seeing a lot of, you know, 60, 70 miles an hour. These are pretty much 20, 30, 40 miles an hour for the most part. I still think that we could see some pockets of stronger wind here as these storms move through, but we're probably pretty much on the borderline severe storms in terms of the wind. I think probably the most likely reason why they're issuing these, even if the wind is kind of almost there, kind of borderline, is probably just because it's moving through the metro and more of like a local impact. Oftentimes, you know, when you do social science research, things of that nature, it's all about the impact. So even if the wind's about 40 miles an hour or so, not up to about 58, which is normally their criteria, they still want to give everyone a heads up. Yeah, so just another quick recap there. We have some strong to severe thunderstorms moving through the area right now. Officially, there are 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. The first expands from Gaston to Mecklenburg, Union, and York County. The second one has this tiny little sliver here of Cleveland County near Shelby. And this one that we were previously tracking, this is the one in Lincoln County over toward northern Meck, parts there of Cabarrus County. That one is likely going to be canceled here probably before 8:45 because they're rolling through so quickly. You can almost kind of see it here. I want to circle this for you. You can kind of see it from here to here to here. See how all that heaviest rain is kind of moving out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they cancel that pretty soon. So just to wrap things up here, if you are in Mecklenburg County, Gaston County, Union, York, up toward even Lincoln County, Cleveland County, you have rain and storms moving through the area right now. There's officially a severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 8:45. This, of course, will eventually be moving in further south toward Chester, Lancaster, Chesterfield counties. I don't anticipate anything more than just some really heavy rain, localized flooding and gusty wind, likely peaking close to about 60 miles per hour or so. But so far, I've seen mostly about 40 at its highest. So be prepared. Of course, stay aware. Download that free WCNC Charlotte mobile app. Great tool to have, especially for the weather aware Wednesday, Thursday. You can track the, of course, latest radar, latest storms out there, what the potential impacts are, the current temperature, current heat index, all that good stuff, especially if you have location settings turned on for your individual location. Fun fact, even if you go travel, if you have those location services on, it will actually give you updates in your local community, and we'll tap into that local forecast. So it's really a great tool to have, especially if you're traveling. A little side note there. Otherwise, I just want everyone to have a reminder to be weather aware the next few days. The heat, the humidity, and the thunderstorms are going to be no joke. We'll, of course, be tracking these live for you each and every day. And if you want an update on the rest of tonight, I hope you will join us for WCNC Charlotte News at 11. I'll be back with Fred and Vanessa tracking the storms, talking heat, humidity, and more storms tomorrow, and of course the latest news and sports. Have a great evening.